And once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Bootz Sports Show. I'm your host, Uncle Bootz, and I'm sorry for the delay, but there was a lot of things going on that I did not want to make it to you as fans. I'm not one of these guys that want to get up here and scream and use profanity and draw attention. But there are a lot of ugly things that we're going to talk about that happened last night. And what I saw last night in this Dallas Cowboy game, which by the way, who finished the season off at 8-8 and lose a game 28-18 to the now division champ Washington Redskins and RG3, that was as ugly as it gets. I would have rather watched my parents have sex than to watch that game that I watched last night. There were a lot of things that bothered me and should bother you as a Cowboy fan. And this one hurt. This one hurt a lot. I done been through a lot of them with Tony. I done been through a lot of them just like you have with this organization, with Jerry Jones, with the coaching staff or staffs in the past. This one hurt. I felt this feeling during and after the game, and I haven't felt this feeling in a long, long time. And I recognized it. I said, what I'm feeling right now in this game, I felt before. And I'm trying to think and find out where this feeling is coming from. What is it? What was this feeling? And I found out what it was. That feeling that I had was a bad breakup. It was a bad breakup. That's what feeling I had. I felt like I was cheated on, like I was manipulated, like I was lied to, like I was given a bad bill of goods. And look, I'm talking about the entire picture right now, but I think there may be a changing of the guard, at least as far as my feelings are concerned, because I was emotionally a wreck. And I know some of you guys who may be casual fans, I actually envy you. I actually envy you. I wish I didn't care so much about this game. I wish I didn't care so much about this team. Because if I could just turn it off and do something else and not think about it, I would. But I've been so loyal. And I'm going back to this bad breakup. I've been so loyal to this football team, to Tony Romo. I've been loyal. I supported Tony. I fought people over Tony. Real fights, real arguments, real physical confrontations over a guy who probably would lock his car doors if I walked past him at some mall in Texas. I've sat and defended tooth and nail. Some of my own fans, some of them fans of other teams. Now, I don't know if I can do that anymore. We're going to find out later on in the show. But first, I realized a couple things about last night. And you guys better realize too. This league is changing. It's changing. And I know there are a lot of colloquialisms and there are a lot of phrases that we use about certain types of quarterbacks and certain generalities and certain stereotypes. Well, you know what? This type of quarterback is what is going on in the National Football League. What I saw last night was brilliant, and I had no idea where the ball was. And if that's how football is being played, then your organization, because it's coming to a stadium near you, because it came to mind earlier in the season on Thanksgiving, And we watched it again last night. Defenses are not going to be able to stop what these guys are doing. And we're going to have to find out if we got to invest in that. But that's later on in the show. This team looked bad. You know, Tony had a chance to bury the demons, and that's what I wanted him to do. I wanted him because, look, I always root for the underdog. And when I say underdog, I mean this. Tony came on to this team as a guy that nobody thought was a competent NFL football talent because he wasn't drafted. Now, there were stories, ironically, Mike Shanahan offered Tony an extra $25,000 signing bonus as an undrafted free agent. And that's a fact. Shanahan said that several times in games that we played them over the last couple years. He outbid everybody else for Tony Romo's services. And Tony elected to go with the Dallas Cowboys because their quarterback situation at the time was in shambles at best. So Romo was not even thought of to be anything more than camp fodder, than a guy that would come into camp and throw the ball around the guys. So he's a guy who never probably thought he would ever make it in the National Football League. I'm sure his family and friends never thought that he'd be an NFL star. Well, he got a chance to become that. He got a chance to take over a football team, the franchise. Whether you like the Cowboys or not, they are the franchise. You can talk about wins and losses and follies and bloopers and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? When it comes down to dollars and cents, and that's what pretty much this whole country is run on, this whole entire world is run on, when dollars and cents matters. And that's where the Cowboys are number one. So, when Tony got handed the keys to this franchise, that day that Drew Bledsoe got benched against the Giants, nobody believed. Tony wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to maybe be a guy to hand off to the next guy. Drew Henson wasn't the guy. Chad Hutchinson wasn't the guy. Nobody thought. They were making fun of him. They were making fun of Tony Romo's ribs, some rib joint somewhere. I remember that Monday Night Football game where they were talking, or Sunday Night Football game where they were talking about him. But anyway, he beat the odds. He not only became a good player, he became a Pro Bowl player in that half season or so. He did the unthinkable. He became a celebrity. He rose from nobody. Matter of fact, if you remember, Tony Kornheiser was in the booth when he got his first start. Not his first relief appearance, but his first actual start, which was against the Carolina Panthers. He got a phone call before that from his girlfriend at the time who broke up with him. Now, she didn't even believe in him. Now, anyway, talking about relationships, he rescues this organization, and finally we're reputable again. However, he's been big during the regular season, and now he hasn't been huge during the regular season. He hasn't been invincible during the regular season. In the postseason, now he's been awful. It's been time and time again. This was the year that I thought that he would shake the demons off. I thought this was it. He was playing well down the stretch. But what he did is he invited the demons to his house. He induced the demons. And he was playing his best football. So there's no excuse for why he showed up bad. You know, was the moment too big for him? You know, he had every bit of opportunity against a raggedy Washington Redskins defense to go out there and say, you know what, guys, all you non-believers, take this. And he could have beat a hobbled RG3 last night. And that would have shut people up for a while. But you know what? I can't stand up for you anymore. And I can't be with you anymore. This is the breakup. That's what this is. This is a breakup. The feeling that I have inside right now is me segregating myself from this type of football. Turnovers. And I'm not saying Tony's a bad quarterback. And I'm going to tell you bums and fools, and I'm talking Cowboy fans mainly, that think we should cut him or draft this guy and do that. You can't find a better replacement on the street or in free agency, and that is a fact. If you want Trent Edwards, be my guest. You want Alex Smith, be my guest. You want Vince Young, be my guest. You won't even get... You can tell me what you want. And I will solicit information from all of you. Definitely email me at bootsports@yahoo.com or in the comments section on the bottom of the page of this YouTube page. Type in your comments. I answer everything. I read all the comments and I respond back to every single one of them. So, and I've read the emails that I've received as well. So, I would love to hear your approach, because I don't think there's much we can do about it. I don't. So, Tony not only was disloyal to me, he not only lied and cheated on me, but he also manipulated me and robbed me. And I'm going to tell you how he did that. He robbed you too. So don't look at me like I'm the only one checking my pockets looking for my wallet. He robbed you too. And I'm going to tell you how he robbed you, Cowboy fans. He robbed you because next year, no matter what this team does in the regular season, everybody else is allowed to have a regular season. Tony's not. Cowboy fans are not. You know why? Because if Tony and this team is 14-2 in the regular season, what are you going to say? Who cares? Right? Who cares? Who cares? You can't even watch the regular season next year and enjoy regular season football. And look, you're probably like me. Die-hard fans are probably like me. This one hurts. And I don't care about what other people say, because most of the people that are talking are just the misery loves company people. Tell me about it, Cowboy fans. Most of the people that are talking smack to you are people whose teams were already eliminated before the Cowboy game even started. So that none of that matters to me. But I deserve to be able to have a regular season. And this hurts. This hurts. This hurts. So, as a grown man, this hurts, and it shouldn't, and I wish it didn't, and I wish it would go away, and it never went away. It didn't go away last night. It didn't go away today, and usually with me, bad losses stay with me for 2 to 3 weeks, and it's terrible. I wish I didn't have to admit that, but that's how my life is. So, that's what that's what this team means to me. So that's why I'm doing these shows for you, the fan. But I'm doing these shows also because it's a relief for me to be able to talk about this and share it. So I want to know, on this grocery list of receivers that I listed out for you, the Kevin Cobbs and the Trent Edwards, and there's going to be a whole lot of them, just like the coaches that are available. You realize, at best, you're shopping at a dollar store or a thrift store. So whatever you bring in, it's not gonna be anybody that's gonna be able to play at the level that Tony Romo is able to play. Now, some of you may say, well, and I would say this if I was y'all, I would say, well, you know what? Well, maybe they won't play as good during the regular season. Maybe they'll play better in the playoffs. Fine. You find me that guy, and you either draft him or sign him. Because I remember when we played that commemorative September 11th game against the Jets, in honor of September 11th, everybody swore Sanchez, because they did win, and Romo threw the last pick in that game. Everybody said that Sanchez was a better quarterback at that time, because he outdueled Romo, he outthrew Romo in that game. They said he was better than him. And people had talked about the Jets traded up to get him. And that was a lock. You don't trade up and put your job on the line if Mark Sanchez isn't a guaranteed player. Well, guess what? The GM who made that move has no job right now. No job. No way to provide for his family as of right now. There will not be. He might get the check because, they hold back the first check or something like that. The whole first 2 checks, they hold it back for the first couple weeks. So maybe he does get a check this week. Guess what? He may be in an unemployment line. And I'm not happy for anybody who loses their job. But what I'm telling you is, don't think because you trade up and grab Geno Smith, or you trade down or trade up and get Matt Barkley in the draft, that you're guaranteed. I told you guys weeks ago, just because you put that star on your helmet, it does not automatically make you a star. So you can tell me that Matt Barkley looks exactly like Sanchez looked. And somebody might tell you Sanchez looked a little better than he did when he was coming out. Look what we got. We got incompetence. And listen, guys, Tony's time is running out anyway. Tony's going to be 33 years old next year when we have this conversation. 33. And he's going to be in the walk year next year. So this organization, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit too, they're going to have some key decisions to make as far as our future, because we're not set up. If we had the young kid, if we had the young kid behind Tony, then I might hear somebody say, you know what, let's get a young kid a shot. We don't have a backup answer. We don't have a plan B. So don't tell me about, and listen, I know that how long it took Elway. I know how long it took Peyton. I know how long it took some of these guys to win playoff games. Look at Matt Ryan. Everybody today will take Matt Ryan in a heartbeat over Tony Romo. And he has not one playoff win. Everybody will take him right now today. And a lot of people thought, I asked somebody yesterday, they said he don't got that many. He don't have any. He doesn't have any. But guess what? The way it looks, he's allowed to go into these games and lose and score 2 points in a playoff game and all that stuff, and nobody says anything about it because he doesn't have a star. So be careful what you ask for, you fans that want to run Tony out of here. And listen, this ain't the day for me to be defending Tony, because Tony did not go out and play well at all, and he had a chance to. And part of his lack of a good game yesterday was because this coaching staff did nothing to rescue him and help him in this game. They did absolutely nothing. The play calling was atrocious. The adjustments were atrocious. Atrocious. I mean, it was just a bad design. You saw that how the Redskins were playing our offensive players, and they didn't have any check downs, anybody sitting down on the lower, the 5 to 7 yard routes. Everything had to be down the field and deep. We could have just dinked and dunked. That's all we had to do. We didn't do that. Where's the screen plays? We tried to run one of them. We didn't leak the ball out the backfield until the interception. We didn't try to do things that Jason Garrett brought these offensive players in here to do. He's the one that wanted the athletic offensive line, because he wanted to pull and he wanted to run all these screen plays that we're not running. So they did nothing. And I know Jerry Jones ain't going to fire himself, let alone fire Garrett. But there has to be a change somewhere. And Jerry's going to have to look at himself and say, do I really need to bring a GM in here? Now, I got a couple ideas what they can do to kind of piecemeal it together a little bit, but they might want to bring in North Turner. I mean, he's been a quarterback guru. They might want to bring him back and see what he can do to help. But they have to do something. They cannot just go in the next year, and they might have to bring somebody in to compete with Tony. Now, I don't know who that is. I don't know who's got a track record like Tony's. Regardless of what you think of Tony's record, I don't know who can push Tony in free agency. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe the problem is Tony doesn't feel like anybody can come in and take his job. Now, I don't get that sense when I listen to Tony talk in interviews. I don't get the sense that he's a cocky guy where he's not grateful for his opportunity to play in the league. I never do. But maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs that to drive his play. Now, look. On the other end of that, Tebow was brought in, supposed to inspire Sanchez, and look how that turned. So you got to be careful how you do it. But Jerry Jones got to look at this. He's got to say two things. I got to figure out, and he's got to recognize, it's just like an AA meeting. The only way you're going to end up there, the only way you're going to get help is if you recognize that you have a problem or you are the problem. I mean, and I'm not promoting AA or promoting alcohol. I'm just telling you that in anything in life, in order to correct it, you have to recognize that there's a problem. If you have a tire that is wobbling and you just turn your music up loud to drown out the sound, you are not fixing that problem. It went away because you blasted the music, but the problem was never fixed. And Jerry is blasting music. From the strippers hanging in the sky in the stadium, he's blasting music. To the $100 pizzas in the stadium. Things have to change. And Jerry, unfortunately, is probably going to die stubborn. And this is my thing on stubbornness. And I'm a pretty stubborn guy. I'm sure people that know me might say that. Here's the problem with being stubborn. When you're stubborn, you're right a lot and you're wrong a lot. So, right a lot and wrong a lot is 50-50. That's 500. That's 8-8. And that's what this organization has been. It's been that for 10, 12 years. 8-8. That's because I'm right a lot, wrong a lot. That's stubborn because it's your way and nobody else's way. It's your way. Well, you can't be right all the time no matter who you are. So, 50-50. That's what we got. We got a 500 football team. That's what we've been. It's not cutting it. We allowed this monster in the NFC East, RG3 and Alfred Morris, to kind of coalesce and culminate and turn into this. We had a chance to step on their throats and shut them down and let them have to do it all over again next year, but we did not do it, and we are going to pay a price. How embarrassing was it to see RG3? This did it for me. If I had ate food yesterday, because I wanted to throw up yesterday, but I was so inept that I couldn't even discharge throw up. I couldn't even produce that because I didn't eat yesterday. I was excited, and then I didn't want to eat because I lost my appetite. But I was so inept yesterday I couldn't even produce throw up. But how you want to throw up on you? How awful was it to see RG3 holding and hugging Tony Romo, patting him on the back and giving him encouragement? That is awful, dude. You got a kid who stumbling around here injured, trying to figure out how to win in the National Football League, and he knows he's already done what you couldn't do or didn't do or are having trouble doing. He did it on one leg, and now he's inspiring you and giving you insight. Listen, man, your kids aren't supposed to educate you ever. They might tell you, Daddy, you left the light on, or Daddy, you forgot to lock the door, but they're not supposed, your kids aren't supposed to educate you as parents. They're not. They're not. Because if they're doing that on the regular, then you have to improve your education skills amongst yourself. You're not supposed to, resort to anybody. Now, listen, I'm sure that there's something that Tony could have gotten from him. He probably could have said, listen, man, keep your head up, man. I had to go through something when I was in 8th grade and they benched me. And Tony might say, okay. But what the heck is he telling me, man? What is he telling me? Maybe Tony will never get it. Now, I don't know. I was a kid when Elway, they said the same thing about Elway. And I'm not comparing the two as far as talent. So don't turn this into, well, you said Romo's as good as Elway. What I'm telling you, Elway was, every time he took a snap, they said he couldn't win the big one. And I grew up watching him. And I remember watching him sitting down. I can tell you what we ate that Super Bowl they played against the 49ers. That Super Bowl that John Elway played against the 49ers, and I think it was 55 points scored. I can tell you who was at my house and what food we ate for dinner that night. And they kept saying he just can't win the big one. He's never going to win it. And it took him a long time before he did. And it took him a 2,000-yard bat. Now, speaking of that, I'm going to get on you guys a little bit here. I'm going to get on you a little bit. Don't be this fan neither. Whether you're a Cowboy fan or not, don't be this fan. Don't be the fan, Minnesota Vikings, New York Jets, Buffalo Bills. I'm just throwing some names out there. Don't be this guy. Yeah, y'all need to get rid of Romo. Y'all need to get rid of Romo. And then as soon as Romo's available, y'all go running, talking about, yo, now all we got to do is put the right pieces around him, and then we got Romo, and then call your buddies and start texting that you got Romo. It's like the girl you used to date. It's like the girl back in the day you used to date. And everybody told you how bad she was. Oh, she ain't this, she ain't that. Oh, I can't believe you with that chick. You ain't that. And as soon as you shut her down and break up with her from the peer pressure from your friends, they're all calling her trying to hang out with her and take her to movie night. That's what it's the same thing. Don't be one of them guys. If you ain't down with Romo and you're not down with bringing him in and Romo's a bum, then when he gets on your team, I want the stadium to be empty. If he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, I want your stadium empty, Eagle fans, because you're the ones who said he was a bum. You Giant fans said he was a bum. Don't be these guys that are celebrating Minnesota Vikings. Now we finally got a guy who can throw the ball and take the pressure off of AP, and then all we got to do, I don't want to hear that, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. This is a terrible time in Dallas, and I don't know how it's getting fixed. And you know what? It might not get fixed. It might not. And I'm up for everything. Everything's in play now. You want to fire Garrett? Listen, I didn't want Garrett here to begin with. I'm not going to sour on him and say that he can't learn from his mistakes. He didn't learn last year. And he's supposed to be brilliant, so it should take him a lot less. He should have way less of a learning curve because he's a brilliant man. Ivy League education. But I didn't want Garrett here to begin with. I told you guys I wanted John Gruden in here. And you can say what you want about John Gruden, but I know his fate. Our theme today is relationships. I know his relationships with the quarterback position. And watch his college quarterback thing that he runs on ESPN. Watch that. Watch how he doesn't put up with the stuff that's being put up with Romo right now. Romo's getting away with murder right now, man. He's the best option we have, though. And I'm not ever going to sell my car before I got the replacement sitting in my driveway. I'm not going to do that, sell my car, and then figure out, man, how I'm getting to work. No, because I thought, no, they were supposed to come in Thursday. But no, I don't do that. I don't ever do things like that. Put the cart before the horse. I got to make sure that if I'm getting rid of Romo, that I know who's coming in. And he better be a good alternative. So I want to know what your alternatives are. Here's the questions I'm going to ask for you guys before I close here. What do you want to do about these positions? Cowboy fans, non-Cowboy fans, whoever you are, I want to hear your answers. Intelligent answers too. I don't want to hear ridiculous rhetoric. But listen, what changes do you think the organization needs to make? What quarterback change would you like to make? And I want something within reason. What do you think we should do? Because there's not a lot of options out there. Romo's going to be here. And guess what? He's about due for an extension. So he might be here for 4 more. Now, I don't know how you do that. That's another thing that's intriguing to me. How does the organization go to Romo and then ask him to extend his, a contract for 4 more years? Is that even... is that reasonable now? I mean, does the organization have enough footage on Tony Romo to know that maybe we can't win with Tony? So then how do you extend him for 4 years? Did they lose faith in Tony? Do you let Tony hit the open market and now you're in a bidding war with other teams that are essentially driving up the asking price for Tony's services? I mean, there's a lot of parts in this whole thing here that are interesting and intriguing. But we can't stay static with this. You fans deserve better. You fans that are readjusting your work schedule and planning vacations and going to the stadiums because the Cowboys are on and swapping shifts with people at your job. Listen, I've been doing this for a long time and I've been through a lot, just like you have. So I know what true fans do to support their teams. And if you're doing that, you deserve better. You definitely deserve better. And look, I'm not under the impression that the fan cares more about the game than the player in every aspect. I'm sure the fans cared more about it than Albert Hainsworth did. I'm sure they care, there's a ton of guys I can name that didn't care about the game. But you're not going to tell me that some of these guys aren't saying it's a 9-to-5 job and right now I'm off the clock. And I can't root for people like that because as a fan, you're always on the clock with them. You're always swinging their flag. You're always, pointing the finger at somebody, arguing back and forth. Always. You're always repping your team. And I need my team to rep themselves on Sundays. And Saturdays if it's a playoff game. Whatever. But this has got to get fixed. And to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of options. It's not. So it looks like you'll be stuck with Romo. We'll be stuck with Romo unless Kansas City says, listen, we'll give you our pick. We'll take Romo now. We think we can do something. And we'll give you our pick, swap picks, and you give us an extra second. We'll take Romo. You get Geno Smith. I mean, if that's the route. Or Minnesota says, hey, we'll give you the first rounder, next year's pick. And we'll give you this. We'll give you the Ponder. We'll take Romo. I'm just saying. It's all conjecture, I know. But guys got to get wheels turning in the organization because we can't roll the same team out there. And I don't care about injuries because everybody's banged up. The Redskins were banged up. If you heard the dudes that were making plays for the Redskins last night, if you heard their names, it was the first time you heard them. Rob Jackson. I'm like, come on, man. Some of these guys never made plays before until last night. But they were big in the big spot. So, I'm going to close with this. I'm going through, it's not a divorce, but I don't know if we separated. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like it. That's what I feel. So I'm going to be doing a couple more videos about the playoffs and about any goings on with the Cowboys. I'll be doing some more stuff with that. But I feel like that I'm starting to segregate myself from Tony Romo. And I'm not giving up on him, but I'm just not all the way in the bed with him. I got like 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot in the bed, and I'm just looking over like I don't know if I really want to be here. That's how I'm doing it because I can't give 100% to that quarterback, And I know some of these play designs. Listen, you see some of the stuff they do to Tony Romo. It's exotic play designs, and then you look at our defense and you're like, "Dak, why we couldn't drop somebody into the zone like that? Why we couldn't just send a zone blitz like that?" But we didn't. And look, they blitzed Tony. They blitzed the piss out of Tony. They blitzed Tony like crazy. Our staff did not prepare for that. We weren't prepared in this game. So don't think, oh, wow, Tony blew it and that's it. No, we weren't prepared. We didn't have a backup plan. We were running deep routes down the field while this guy was under duress. I'm just going to tell you, the grass isn't always greener, guys. It's not. The grass is not always greener. And I'm sure you found that out through your marriages, through job switches, through cars, swapping cars, and oh, let me get this Prius because it's supposed to be more efficient. You find out the grass isn't always greener. You tell your boss, I don't need you anymore. I got a new job now. I start next week. Boom. Trust me, it ain't always greener, but I don't have to stay in an unhealthy relationship. And right now, it's unhealthy for me and Tony Romo to be together. It is. And I'm talking in a football sense. I ain't talking about nothing else. So don't, we're talking football. I can't keep doing this. I'm not an unreal fan. I'm a real fan. I'm a passionate guy about sports, but I'm a real fan. I can't keep investing my real emotions. These are real emotions. These aren't like the wave. Like when you go to the stadium and the guy next door does the wave and he says, yo, you got to do the wave. And you get up and do the wave. Like, that's generated. That when they play the da-da-da-da-da-da and you go, charge, that's generated. That's not me. I'm not generated. Nobody's generating. This is my emotions. That charge stuff, that's all fabricated emotions. You didn't want to say charge when you got there. You know, the comedians, they tell you, yeah, make some noise for it. That's not you making noise. That's them making noise. Make some noise for a man. He out of upstate New York. My man, give him a... No, that's not you. So these emotions are my emotions. So I'm dealing with them. We have to make changes amongst this organization. We have to make them as fans. We can't sit back and settle for second-rate football. So I'm going to do another show, guys, probably a little later on in the week. Give my assessment of the playoffs and congrats to the MVPs and stuff like that. And hopefully we make some changes to our organizational changes. Hopefully even some changes in the hierarchy. Hopefully all that gets settled. And we have hope. Because right now, guys, the arrow is pointing down. Way down. You already lost next year's regular season. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch and see next year. No matter what the record is. And you better hope it's a good one. You better hope it's a good one. Because if it isn't a good one, then you don't even have a chance. Then don't let RG3 and this kid come back monsters next year. And I have a feeling they will. Guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to go back and sulk. I'll probably get over this in about another 2 weeks. This is crazy. Let me know how y'all feeling about this, man. Thank you guys for listening once again. Real quick, I want to give 2 shout-outs. My man Sideline Chatter, if you want to follow him on Twitter. Roy Moss, that's Sideline Chatter. You can also follow my man Mossberg, Mozzberg. He's at Mossberg on Twitter. That's my man Dwayne Green. He reps the Dallas Cowboys, and hopefully we can all get together at some point and do our show together. It'd be nice, and that's something we're working on the studio and all this stuff like that. We're trying to put things together. Thank you for listening and paying attention to us, guys. I appreciate it. Any help, any comments, bootsports@yahoo or at the bottom of the page. Definitely click like and subscribe, because I'll be subscribing back to y'all, man. So subscribe. Definitely do that. Thanks, guys, for listening. Cowboy Nation, we'll be back. 1.